everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are feeling extra bubbly today because we have a special treat for you. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and we are joined by some of our favorite podcasters, fellow Hallmark podcasters, the official Hallmark podcasters, Jacks and Shawl from the Bubly Sesh are here, and we are here to talk about mysteries. Before I do that, I'm very glad our very good friend Kaycee is also here.
Hi, everybody. I am super stoked,
Yay.
and I'll tell you why. Because every time I listen to Jacks and Shawl's recaps and mysteries, every time they say murder, I say it with them, and then I laugh like they can hear me. So I'm super excited because I hope we get to say that all together today.
Let's do it. So, yes, Jacks and Shawl, thank you so much for coming on. We love having you here.
Rachel and Kaycee, hey, it's Jax. Thanks for having us. We can't wait to say murder all together, too.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, Rachel and Kaycee, yes, we are. I mean, we were very excited to be invited. We love your podcast. And yeah, we need to give you that little sound effect, too, the little mystery peek that we do after the murder. So yeah. We'll do that. We'll put that in as well when we all do it in unison together. So, and we also do whodunit, don't we, Jack? So we got to do a whodunit too, all together.
Whodunit is fun. I feel like that one. I always feel like I stretch out the O so much. Like it's hard when I'm not looking at you guys and we're not all in person, but I say let's do it. We're four gals that can get our unison going. I have faith in all of us.
Well, it's I think the last time we spoke, at least with Jax, was on the podcast officially was before Christmas, so it was in like November. Can you believe that? Feels like it was a millennia ago.
Oh my goodness! It feels like it was such a long time ago, and it feels even longer ago that we were hanging out there in KL.
Oh, I know.
That was so much fun, Rachel, to meet you in person and to just have all of us hanging out. Kaycee, I wished you were there too. With us, that would have been awesome. But yeah, that was really nice.
If you ever do a Florida movie, you gotta.
That's right.
Yeah, y'all come down here. We have the
perfect.
beat.
Yeah, evidently they had a Florida movie that was just about to shoot. I was reading that got canceled. Like it was really close that they were doing. Because last year they did a bunch.
Peete.
Yeah, last year they did Trula Blooms and a number of ones down there in St. Petersburg. What was it called? Love in the Sun, I think it was called.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, the Sean Christensen movie.
Yes.
He was in that.
Yeah, that was in Florida. Florida
that's
pretending
right.
to be Hawaii.
That's right.
I would be in either one of those places happily right now. I'd be in Florida, I'd be in Hawaii, I'd be in Florida, pretend to be in Hawaii, wherever.
Yeah.
The sun, it sounds great.
So how have you both been handling quarantine? Are you just going the most stir crazy you can possibly go, or has it been pretty chill for you? What about you, Jax?
For me, it's interesting. I miss people a lot. I miss my family a lot. I miss friends. There's a lot of things I do miss. I will say that I don't really get stir crazy and I don't really get bored, which is nice. Like that's just never been a thing with me. But I will say that I am more grateful than ever that I got a pet this year. My little buddy Artie. Shaw and I, we met him on the same day. We were at the kitten bowl. We met him together. It was love at first sight. But I not really thought before, I need a pet. That's what I want. But I will say that during this time of being at home, he's really, I've relied on him heavy for emotional support and cuddles, and I'm extra grateful for him. So I want to give him a little shout out.
Oh, that's really sweet. And you got him at a Hallmark event. That's amazing.
It was great. I will say that it feels like something that would be great for branding, but it really was almost like in spite of itself. I didn't want to do it. I'm like, I don't want to make a rash decision just because this feels so right. Am I just like looking into his eyes and thinking this is the right decision because I'm here and I'm swept up in the moment? But literally every day I wake up and I'm like, no, you're my perfect kitty. You're my perfect kitty. So I'm really glad. I'm really glad he's around. And he's sleeping now listening to us talk about all Hallmark stuff. I know he's getting the information now.
I knew that you two were soulmates, Jax. From the first Meow Meet Cute, which is what we've coined now that Jax and Artie had together at the Kitten Ball. I have to echo Jax in the sense that I don't get bored, but I do have a 3-year-old at home with me who also doesn't get bored. And I wish she would get bored sometimes. So, because, it's been definitely an adventure in parenting. Kaycee, I know you have kids too.
Mm-hmm.
So quarantine, I think, has left parents with some challenges. But it's also, I think, the positive that a lot of people with children have shared is there has been a little bit more family time and quality time that's been had from this. But it has been a challenge with homeschooling and just finding things to do and not being able to go anywhere or have those activities. And so I've gone a little stir crazy sometimes for sure. But and I miss my family.
Watching Frozen 2 for like the 30th time.
Oh man. Okay, Rachel. So you know my life. Yes, I'm constantly singing this. Yes, we are singing the soundtrack. I've got Daniel Tiger songs that I wake up just like they're in my head. So you know my life.
The Daniel Tiger. You know, like Catherine Disher is on that show.
Yes,
so that's Hallmark.
I did actually know that. I did know that family connection right there. So
Shawl, your girl.
Did it. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited because I did not know that. So thank you for that nugget. I did.
That's right.
I was gonna say, Shawl, your girl and my girls would be besties during quarantine because Daniel Tiger, Pinkalicious, Frozen over and over and over again. I'm like trying to get them to watch like Moana or Tangled. And those are like numbers 2 and 3, but it's literally Frozen. My daughter sings it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, she puts on performances.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, Kaycee messaged me and she's like, "You're a family movie person. I need recommendations now." More. I can't listen to Frozen one more time. So yeah, you're not alone there, I think.
Kaycee, is there a preferred princess? Is it Anna? Is it Elsa? Or is it equal opportunity just as long as it's in the Frozen family?
You know, it really depends on the mood of each girl.
Yeah. So, well, they're both queens now, so that's exciting.
And sometimes it's Anna, sometimes it's Elsa, sometimes they both choose one or the other, sometimes they fight over like one. I mean, it's just Frozen chaos over here.
V is always in her Frozen. A lot of times she's in her Frozen nightgown, and she always chooses Olaf though. Olaf is her guy, so she doesn't ever choose between the princesses for some reason. She's always like, Olaf's her favorite. So,
well, very good. It's been challenging for me, harder than I've said it a lot on the podcast, but it's been harder than I expected because I work from home. So I didn't think it would be that hard, but I didn't realize how much the social interactions that I do have or did have mattered to me, particularly church and going to the movie screenings. And there were times I would go to 2 or 3 a day. That was not unheard of. And like just last Saturday, I like didn't have a whole lot to do, and I just realized that this would have been a movie day. This would have been the day I'd go to the independent theater in town, and I would have just been at the theater all day. And so it's just, you get in those routines, and then when you get out of the routines, for someone like me, it's kind of jarring. But luckily, I mean, thankfully, I've had the podcast, because I know other singles that haven't had that it's been even harder and more isolating and more, difficult. And so I don't know, it's been a crazy time, and I'm glad we're kind of feel like we're sort of at the tail end dish, of it, hopefully, cross fingers.
Yeah, I was thinking about you, Rachel, because I know that you go to so many screenings.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a lot of, uncertainty. I mean, the good thing is a lot of people's churches are opening back up, and that's encouraging. But there's still a lot of uncertainty around live theater and movie theaters, and it's
So I think,
I'm sure that lifestyle is really difficult.
And I think we're gonna make it to get to see Tenet in July. We're just hoping, please. But right now we're all hanging on Tenet in July, and that the theaters will be open, and then Mulan at the end of July. So please, but we'll see what happens. Obviously they have to make the decision that's the best for the health of everybody. I will respect that, but we'll just see. But it's been a challenging, definitely challenging time. I mean, and the thing that's hard is that nobody really knows. Nobody's ever experienced anything like this before. Nobody knows 100% what the right thing is to do. It's not like you can go back on prior experience and be like, okay, this is what we should do.
Exactly.
So we're all trying to make the best decision possible. And, we've got Disney World reopening beginning of, it's like July 11th. So that we're, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. It's just going to be one thing kind of after another, just dipping our toes, just making sure we're doing it right. And we'll see. But I'm
really glad that we've had, all of us have had a Hallmark Channel and had the movies to sort of, rely on. And even if there haven't been, we've got new movies coming up, but even if there haven't been new movies, all the old favorites, and like when they did the Christmas weekends were such a bright spot in the quarantine. So that's been really nice.
Yes, that's been really, really good. Yeah, I mean, it's so weird because they canceled the 2 movies in the fall for a reason we have no idea why. And maybe they were somehow prosaic. They canceled, and then now we're getting them a little romance. We'll watch those when this airs, and then these then the acquisition, and somehow they managed to cobble together a season out of nothing. Which was really impressive, I thought.
Absolutely. And, I think the film industry in general, just from obviously being a part of Hallmark, but also being an actor and just knowing a lot of people in the industry, it was hit hard by COVID. A lot of obviously productions had to stop, even when they were mid filming. One of the mysteries we're probably going to talk about tonight, Aurora Teagarden. We know they were
right.
Yeah, they were a weekend, and then they had to sort of shut down. So it is really impressive how they sort of went back in their library and was like, oh, okay, well, this was slated for this time. Let's move it up. Like I think they've done a really good job programming wise of trying to fill the slots and give us still new content, which is honestly, I can't say for many other networks that are bringing new content. So it's exciting that we're able to watch. I mean, in A Little Romance, we're going to be watching 3 new movies.
Right.
That we've never seen. So that's exciting.
3 new movies. Plus then there's the 2 new movies on Movies and Mysteries. The 2
exactly
purchased the acquired ones. So yeah, I mean, I think they've done a pretty good job of given the situation. I think they've done as good a job as they can do of providing these films. So we're excited about that, and we're excited today to talk about the mysteries. And we're trying to kind of figure out an angle, and kind of what we came up with is to talk about each of sort of our leading ladies and what we kind of like most about them, what differentiates them and their series. And so we just thought this would be kind of a fun exercise. I do think that my favorite of your guys' coverage is the mysteries. I think, I don't know, I just like the way that you sort of stage it as this, you have your the way that you sort of stage it with the clues and everything kind of going through through the mystery, I think is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. And I like how whenever you guys are giving each character description, I'm like, okay, yeah, I was lining up with Shawl on this movie the whole time. Or I was lining up with Jacks. Yep. Okay, cool. I'm not completely off my rocker.
Do you guys have your sleuther nicknames yet?
I do not.
Yeah, they need some.
Yeah.
They need some Mystery Maven Jacks, don't they?
Yeah, you guys. I think that you guys. We definitely need to get you fun monikers, so that when you're on the case and we're all saying our words in unison and going through our usual suspects, that you can really feel like you're cracking it. Because I think you guys have very good critical analysis skills. So, once you have a nickname and that, you're unstoppable.
Yes.
Well, y'all, I just have to say, one, thank you so much for that compliment. We so appreciate that. But two, I got to give a shout out to Mystery Maven Jacks right here, because y'all, it's all her.
Mm-hmm.
She is so good at coming up with and building out those episodes with the usual suspects, with the games. It's made covering the mysteries so much fun. And like because I didn't actually get into the mysteries until she turned me on to them, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you need to watch the mysteries." And then we decided that we would make it a part of the podcast. But it's all Mystery Maven, so all the way. Jacks, I got to give you a shout out.
But our nicknames came from you, Shawl.
Yeah, I mean, that was my small contribution to the mystery episode.
That's why you guys are the dynamic duo
Well,
of podcasting.
Once you get a nickname, that's all you need.
Yeah,
that's it. Who's better at sleuthing out of you two, Rachel and Kaycee? Who do you think is a better sleuth out of the two of you? Who's the super sleuth?
I don't know if we have ever done a mystery episode together.
Nope.
So that it's a little bit guessing. But I feel like Kaycee's better than me at the picking up the clues and the figuring it out.
You know who's really good? He's gonna hate me when I say it, but my husband's way better at it.
Yeah.
Every single time he's like, "It's that person."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "It's not that person. They had literally a line to say and they're fine." Yeah. And then at the end he's gonna be like, I told you that person was gonna, be the murderer. And I'm like, how did you know that? I mean, you don't even like this stuff.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know that he knows who it is. I feel like my boyfriend will be like, maybe it'll be Christopher Palaha this time. Like, he refers to him by name. And I'm like, it's not going to be Christopher Palaha. And that's not even Travis's name. It's Travis. It's not Christopher Palaha. And they'll switch it up. They might switch it up, you guys. I'm like, no, they're not going to. I mean, maybe, you know what? I stand corrected. If Christopher Palaha as Travis becomes the killer, you'll have it here, folks, that I was wrong.
Yeah, when I watch the mysteries, I break them down into murder, victim, and then what I call family fun, which is just like all the other fun, like romance or extra stuff. And then red herrings is my biggest category. There's always so many. And after you've seen a bunch of these, it does become pretty obvious what's going to happen. But I usually don't mind that because it's just part of it. So, I mean, it's the same way with romantic comedy. It's not like you're going to be like, oh, they're not going to get together at the end. You know what's going to happen, but it's sort of the road to get there, and if they can make it fun.
I feel like lately they've been switching it up though, because which one was it that Matchmaker Mysteries that I was watching, and I was like, oh yeah, he's a big name-ish in Hallmark, and he's the killer. Done.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I was wrong. I'm like, I mean,
well, you can usually tell too when the character gets introduced as a suspect. Like if they're introduced really early on, they're probably not, but they might come back. It depends.
Yeah, you never know.
But
Kaycee, I was the same with the recent Matchmaker Mysteries. I also, on our recap, I think I talk about, like, it completely threw me for a loop. So you're right. They are getting crafty. And even the latest Mystery 101 also sort of was like, wait, say what now? So they are starting to pull out, some unique ways in which even the killer does the murder or the motivation behind it.
Yeah.
Because there are some layers to them for sure. They're campy and fun, but they're starting to be a little bit deeper and elevate the storytelling, which is cool.
Well, and a couple this year I've noticed have had like a jewel heist element, which I like because it just adds it's not always a murder investigation. It's like there's like the one of the Martha's Vineyard one had a jewel heist kind of element to it, and I think the Picture Perfect Mystery had a jewel heist kind of element to it, and I think that adds another layer as well, because it's not just kind of who killed who, it's where is the jewel, where is it hiding?
Yeah, I like that element too, and then I think that it cuts down a little bit on some of the violence too, which is great because Hallmark is really good because it's still so family friendly that you can watch it with your kids. You can watch it. And for me, I get pretty triggered by violence, but I don't have to worry about it. But guys, quickly before we continue, may I present for your consideration Red Herring Rachel and On the Case Kaycee. What do we feel like?
Oh,
yeah.
Uh-oh.
I like that.
Yes.
It's good.
I'm going to hashtag that.
Yeah.
Mystery Maven Jacks does it again. Case closed. Kaycee, maybe that can be your thing that you always say too. On the Case Kaycee. At the end when you're done, you're like, case closed. Yeah.
But I was like you, Shawl, in that I didn't like this. I told Amber when we first started, I was like, I don't want to cover them. They're really boring. They're not for me. I don't want to cover them. But, and maybe this is unpopular to say, but the one that won me over was actually Garage Sale Mysteries. I just found them really fun, and I really liked the whole family dynamic of them. And I thought they were a lot better written than the other ones that year. This was 2017. And so that kind of got me on board. And I guess I've been on ever since. I'm on board.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense because, I mean, look, they are definitely, I mean, they're different. They're different than the rom-coms, but that's what sort of, it was neat. It was sort of a neat way to get into something family friendly that's not like romantic, even though they do have, I mean, again, Jax knows this. I mean, I live for the romance in these. Like, that's something that I like, if there's like the main couple, like, when are they going to get together or what are they doing? Like, I'm always like, in this last Aurora Teagarden, oh my gosh, I like was so excited in Heist and Seek that just aired. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Garage Sale Mysteries was a good one. I really liked that series.
I love how they were a married couple. We don't have that in anything else in Hallmark, really. So that was fun. But let's dive in. Let's talk about Aurora Teagarden. So we're just going to say one thing that we like about the series. So why don't you start, Kaycee? Say your thing.
So Aurora Teagarden, I'm pretty sure that was my gateway into the Hallmark mysteries. And you guys all know I love CCB as much as everybody else and their mom and everybody who grew up in the 90s because DJ Tanner. But I like it's kind of Nancy Drew-ish, but like adult Nancy Drew-ish to me. And I'm not huge on like a bunch of like murder and killing and a lot of like primetime stuff. So this is the perfect, mix of everything where it's still clean and it's still really well written and you still do have the murder. And I'm not like freaked out hiding under my bed because I'm absolutely terrified of stuff. But I love Aurora Teagarden. I love that she's got Nick. And I too was like dying at the end of Heist and Seek. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the last movie, when she got proposed to in the library because it's so perfect. So love all those.
Shaw, what about you? What's your favorite thing about Aurora?
I mean, Kaycee, on the case, Kaycee, I gotta say, I totally 100% agree. I'm such an Aurora Teagarden fan. That's also how I got into the mysteries as well. Huge CCB fan. One of the things that I love about Aurora, I do love that she's a librarian. I love that there's a literary element to it, so that Nancy Drew-esque sort of mystery. But I love Mary Lou Henner in it too. And I love their relationship, Aida and Ro, and how Aida just does not even put up with the Real Murders Club. Like, she is not having it but she always gets dragged into the hijinks and the cases. And so it's a really fun series. I like the worlds, but I really like the two of them. I like their mother-daughter relationship. And it's fun. It's fun.
Jax, what do you like most about this one?
So Shawl, I'm so sorry because I know you hate this word and it makes you cringe, but I'm going to have to say it to reference my favorite Aurora Teagarden movie. A very foul play.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to hang up right now. Okay. That is my word. That is my word. Okay. But you said it once. It's fine. You don't need to repeat it again, right?
I said it once. Again.
Okay, great.
When we originally heard this title, I thought, before I saw the previews or read any synopsis about it, that it was going to be about baseball or sports. And then I was so pleasantly surprised that it was indeed
foul
about
play.
the play. And when they put
you said it again, Rachel. You said it again. No, I'm just kidding.
The only thing that hurt that, though, for me was that they had literally had almost the exact same story on Mystery 101 that same summer. I felt like that set of Aurora Teagarden movies, I felt like they all had recycled plots that Hallmark had just used barely before. That was my only problem with it. It was pretty fun.
I'm going to be real with you. I live for, I love theater. I've always been a theater gal. I love going to see theater. And again, this might be, talking about unpopular opinions. I actually would not mind if they put on a play in every mystery. I would not get sick of it. I honestly don't even think if I would get sick of it if they literally had every cast do literally the same script, just because that's me. I know that that's not a thing in the world, but I just will never get sick of people in a movie putting on a play, especially the fact that they got thrown into the play, having not seen the script. And I thought that Cameron Bray was really funny in that.
Yeah.
They were.
Actress that was supposed to be, or she's, as Aurora, she's not the world's worst actress, but she's not good. And then Aida is so good.
Right.
That I thought that the whole performative aspect of it, for me, and that one in particular, I was just tickled by. So that was a particular favorite of mine.
My favorite Aurora Teagarden is definitely The Last Scene Alive, because I liked the whole element of the movie within a movie. like they're shooting a movie, and that whole scene in the big, like, old abandoned factory, and that's like classic Hollywood tropes, the old steam and things factory that you have in. But it was really, I liked that one was fun to me. But I think the best thing about Aurora Teagarden is her interactions with Arthur. I just think that, you can just tell that he's like, why do I have to put up with this woman? What is going on? But I don't know. I love Peter Benson, and I think the two of them are a lot of fun. And so that's probably my favorite part of the series is the two of them. So.
And that's true. And her interactions, that's really true, because then you also have the element that there's this conflict, and every time I am really tickled by that. And then now Peter Benson's directing, which is cool.
Yeah. So some of these that they're not doing one this year, we'll go through kind of quick, and then others we'll spend a little bit more time on. So next we have Haley Dean, which is one we'll go through kind of quick, if that's okay. But and I don't know if we all kind of agree maybe on this, but my favorite thing is definitely this chemistry with Viv Leacock. And I was so glad in this second set that they did last year that they focused more on that. Because I wasn't a big fan of the whole set with Chad Lowe, I think was his name. Wasn't a big fan of that set of those mysteries. But Kaycee, what do you think about Haley Dean? Or you haven't seen Haley Dean, right?
So this is the one series that I tried, and maybe I was just in a really bad mood that night or whatever, but I have not really seen any. I think I saw one.
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna have to let me know which one I should start with, or if there's a favorite one that I should just like watch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing with the Chad Lowe character was that I felt like they were paying it as this was going to be like super emotional and this big reveal, and it was kind of obvious and sort of not that emotional. So then I didn't like it. But then these later ones, last three, were just allowed to be more fun. But what do you think, Jacks and Shawl, about Haley Dean?
Well, Jax knows that I am a huge Kelly Martin fan. And when we were able to interview her for the podcast, I mean, similar to what Kaycee said about, CCB growing up with her, I feel like I grew up with Kelly Martin too. Yeah. And she was in a lot of things that I really loved and enjoyed. And there was a show called Christy that I loved that had When Calls the Heart vibes too, if anybody's listening.
Ends on the cliffhanger of all cliffhangers.
Absolutely.
I was so mad.
The love triangle, like, yeah. So anyway, she was in ER, and she had that fabulous story on ER and her character. And so anyway, I think she's just a phenomenal actress. So she's really, I'm really engaged when I watch her in anything. And I will agree with you, Rachel, that I love her and Viv together. I think Viv Leacock is also super talented. And I would say, Kaycee, Death on Duty, the most recent, I really liked that one a lot. And I thought that one had a lot of twists and turns too. So it'll take you on a little bit of a ride. Jax, I don't know if that would be the one for you that you loved, but the most, but I thought that one took me on a ride.
I think Death on Duty is definitely a good gateway into Haley Dean. Also because there's the emotional investment of someone that Finch knew who gets, and now I think it's time for us all to say it together.
Right.
Wow. You guys are naturals. You're natural at that.
Plus, that one, won't give it away as a spoiler, but the ending's fun.
Yes. Oh. Stop.
So.
I'm stopping talking because it's wild.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right. So
I do. Sorry, the ending of that is really wild, and you're taking me back, and I feel like I need to watch that one again. But I love the buddy comedy, and I think that one definitely. When I'm watching the mysteries, I'm not as invested in the romance, but I love the buddy aspect of that as well. So I think that on the case, Kaycee, and if you like a Nancy Grace cameo, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Oh, that's always so fun.
Next, we had Allison Sweeney, who, of course, was in two different mysteries, The Murder She Baked, and then in Chronicle Mysteries. And I have to be honest, I was pretty disappointed in Chronicle Mysteries. And I don't know if I'm just too close to it as a podcaster, because they weren't like podcasts really at all. They were like news reporting, kind of. Like, it wasn't a true crime podcast. And I felt like she could have, if she was going to do a current case that she's solving along the way, which is not how true crime podcasts are done. If she was going to do that, then I think they could have used the audience way more and have them like giving her clues or somehow being they could have just, I don't know, it just felt extremely generic, and I was expecting it to be so much better. But I guess my favorite part about it, even though I was disappointed as a whole in the series, was the side characters. I love Rebecca Staub. I think her character's name is like Elaine, I think. Anyway, she's great, and I love Dave Collette, especially the episode where he's like eating all the snacks in the car because he's so stressed out doing the stakeout. That's my favorite part of Chronicle Mysteries. Kaycee, do you watch any Chronicle Mysteries?
Yes, I do. I was a little surprised at the, I don't know, lack of podcasting. I was really hoping that the trilogy would like be the same story. Like, she's trying to figure out what happened to her best friend, and it just builds on each other. So it'd be like a trilogy type of thing. But I mean, I really enjoyed them. I really like the main characters, the Allison Sweeney and what's his name?
Benjamin Ayers.
Yes, I love their chemistry. I think it's a lot of fun, and they seem like a good pair in the fact that she has a reason to be involved with crime, unlike Aurora Teagarden, who's just stumbling into crime. So I just like that aspect of it too.
What do you think?
I think a cool thing that I love about Alex is the fact that in a lot of other mystery series, our lead female sleuth has all these relationships with like law enforcement, but I think it's so cool in this that Alex is reliant on her team of journalists and on Chuck to crack the case. And I am also obsessed with Chuck. I love him. Rachel. Sorry, red herring Rachel. Excuse me. I will not call you just Rachel, and we're talking about the mystery. You either on the case, Kaycee. But I do like that she needs to be reliant on the team that's around her, and she's not actually going to this outside source. She's on the case herself, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I agree with that, Jackson. I think that the other thing, just with going back to the podcasting, I think what it was, from what I gathered, I think it was trying to mirror sort of a serial type feel in terms of the way she was podcasting, like just her tone of voice and the way that the case sort of would unfold.
It's just that serial is scripted.
Yeah.
So it's not it's not the same. She's felt like more of a reporter to me than that makes sense too, because she's got the newspaper ties and her family. So, maybe that was in fact part of it too. And what I will say is I do think her and Drew have really good chemistry. They do have that almost kiss.
in the Deep End. I think that was the movie where they have an almost kiss, and I was here for it. So I love that slow burn in any of our, when we do have that in either our rom-coms or our mysteries, like especially in the mysteries, I think they do a really good job of the slow burn. It's good.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
Next, we have Lacey Chabert in Crosswords Mysteries. And I think that the chemistry with Brennan, it helps a lot. And the chemistry with Barbara Niven in this one, I still think they're struggling to figure out how they can involve her, because it's just not like a natural fit aside from the first one where there were clues in the actual puzzle. And so I think
hold up though, Rachel, red herring Rachel, let me just stop you right there, because did you watch the one about magic? Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one?
Yeah.
That one, I cannot say, like, one, we had to wait for that one because it got pushed a little bit. Right. And so I know everybody was like, where it at? And then when it came up, they did not disappoint me. That one was so action-packed. There was so many things happening, and I felt like they actually utilized Tess, Lacey's character, like the most in that movie. Yeah, and sort of
they had it at her, because they had it at her birthday party, and they had her taking those magic lessons, so they were able to figure out how to kind of involve her. But Kaycee, what's your favorite part about this series?
No, I agree with Shawl. So when I first saw the first one, and you know how the first movie to any series is kind of like, they're testing the water, they're trying to figure out their groove, whatever. That one was like, okay, I can dig this. The second one, I was like, The third one, though, I was hooked. I mean, my mouth was probably to the floor the entire time. Because I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was
the magic was a fun element because it added that kind of layer.
Yeah,
layer to it. Yeah.
No, I'm here for it. I think the puzzle aspect, because that's what I was wondering too, is like, how are they going to do a crossword for every single mystery? That's going to be kind of weird. But the fact that it's a puzzle is very intriguing to me, and I think it just makes it a fun spin.
Yeah. Jax, you agree?
Okay, so yes, I think Abracadabra, yes. I subsequently to watching that movie, I took a magic lesson, but I also went to see this American magician and puzzle maker, David Kwong, perform. He did the show called The Enigmatist, and he also works for the New York Times. Puzzle. He knows Will Shortz, who appears in these movies, and I went up to him after, all nerdy, and I was like, "Hi, I just want to know you should watch this movie. It's called Abracadabra, and it's like about." And he goes, "Like 15 people have told me that I should have been in that movie."
That's funny.
That's awesome, Jax. I didn't know that.
Is Will Shortz in all of them, or is he just in the first one?
So Will Shortz makes an appearance
in all of them.
All of the movies.
Okay.
But David Kwong has not been in any of them. But you should follow him. He's the Enigmatist. He's an amazing creator, puzzle maker. And if I would leave my boyfriend for anyone, it would be this man.
Oh, wow.
Wagner. But he had heard about it. And I thought, oh, this is going to be so niche. I'm going to tell him about this Hallmark movie that has to do with magic and crossword puzzles. And he's like, I've been hearing about this since the movie came out. And I'm like, that's great. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, and the final thing I will say, Rachel, about Tess that I think is so interesting when it comes to a mystery heroine is that she really does have this superpower, which is her mind. I mean, it's very cool how she, I think it's fascinating when people do crossword puzzles, period. I'm terrible at them. So it's something that I think is really intriguing about this character, that she sort of can fit the pieces together, and come up with things so quickly. I think that's really cool.
I do, if anybody in Hallmark is listening, I do think it would be awesome if they had an episode that really used Barbara Niven well. So far, she's been kind of an exposition dump character, like just sort of there for Lacey to sort of say all the clues to. And it would be great because she's awesome, and it would be really fun to see her like totally kick butt and like be great. I would love that. So
Ooh, I would like that
Hint,
too.
hint.
That would be. I'm into that.
yeah.
I like that. If they kick butt together, I'm
Yeah.
totally into that too. Yeah.
So then we have Ruby Herring with Taylor Cole, and for me, I love Taylor Cole. She's great, but I love Stephen Huszar in these. I think he is so sexy and so dreamy, and I just even his name, Jake, it was like great, and I just think he's really good. He's my favorite part.
His name, Jake. I love that. You're like, just Jake. Just
Like,
the fact that his name is Jake.
Yeah.
Hot boy name.
Hot boy name. Exactly. Totally.
Kaycee, have you gotten to see any of the Ruby Herring?
Yes, I have not seen the recent one. I'm still trying to catch up, but I feel like Ruby Herring. It's kind of light, and like you said, they've got some good-looking people on that show.
Yeah,
so.
they do. And hers is probably the most natural role for becoming an amateur sleuth because she's a reporter, so it like makes the most sense.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying with her being on the crime beat. It does lend itself very naturally to her solving crimes. And then also with her dad, that makes a lot of sense too. That's the world that she sort of grew up in. I did not know that you were such a fan of Jake, Rachel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I heard the passion in your voice, and I watched Ruby Herring.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh my goodness. I mean, I will second everyone in saying that it is a fun world, and definitely the news element for me, I love. I also feel that way about morning show mysteries when we get to that too, but just the fact that it's a little bit of a newsroom, and I like how Ruby is a little campy too. It's a little bit campy sometimes, which I like the news you can use and all of her news stories. It's really fun. It's very fun and lighthearted. I feel like it sometimes doesn't take itself so seriously, which I appreciate about it.
So I feel the same way about the next one up. It's the Matchmaker Mysteries, Danica McKellar. And I was pretty skeptical going into this one because it is a huge stretch for getting this matchmaker involved in this amateur sleuthing. But I do think the series has a pretty good sense of humor. And when she's like, I don't know, like out spying on people or whatever and looking ridiculous, and there's a sort of smile and there's a sort of awareness that I think makes it fun. And so I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. And her and Victor Webster, a lot of fun. So Kaycee, did you see Matchmaker Mysteries?
Yes, I've seen both of them. Okay. So this one I love. I do love. I think Danica and Victor are great.
Yeah.
However, my one thing is, for me personally, I think way too hard about these mysteries, especially this one, because every single time I guess wrong. I mean, that's pretty often, but for this one, I'm so dead sure that it's like somebody else. And then, of course, at the end, it has to do with love, because Angie Dove will find you love, and of course, the person who died was a victim of love. So, that's what I'm always like, dang it, I should have known that. I should have known that it was the guy who was, cheating on his wife. So now I know for the future one. Number 3, I'm gonna be like, okay, who has a secret lover here? I'm gonna be looking this time. I'm gonna get it right.
Spurned lover. That's what you should be looking for. It's bitter.
On the case, Kaycee, I said the same thing to myself. I was duped. I was completely duped. And I did not see that coming either. And I also admonished myself for it. I do love watching. I mean, Danica McKellar, she's my girl. I love watching her. I love Patty Stanger. I love matchmaking. But I was actively upset with my mystery maven skills or lack thereof when I did not see it coming. So I feel you.
Yeah, did not see it coming.
The other thing about the show, the two movies we've seen, and sort of this world that I think is really fun, and again with Patty Stanger being involved too, is the actual dating advice that is on the movie, and sort of again that inspo being the Millionaire Matchmaker, right, Jax? That was Patty's series.
Yeah.
So that's sort of fun to watch who she's matchmaking and what the advice is. The last movie, I thought there was some really solid dating advice in this mystery movie that I was like, okay, not only are we, we're on a little bit of an adventure here. Like if you're a single gal, like there's some good nuggets of wisdom in here. So I find that really fun about the series too.
Yeah, you can't always go for the guy who's a pop, perfect on paper.
That's right.
True.
Yes.
Okay, so next we have Alexa Pinavega in Picture Perfect Mysteries. And I think the biggest thing that this series has going for it is Ron Oliver as the director. I think he's giving it some style, some flair, some pizzazz to it that I don't think it would otherwise have. And I think that's a huge bump in its favor once they've aired so far.
This one always takes me back to Spy Kids, probably because of Alexa. But I find it super fun, and I like Lex and Los together. It's always fun to see a couple that acts like they're not a couple on series.
Yeah.
So that always makes it fun. And we always like to see it, like, we like to see them stretch their movies, because we always want to see movies with Alexa and Carlos, or they're not a couple in real life, but Kevin and Pascal, for example. But we can't have all the movies be about Kevin and Pascal, or about all the rom-coms be about Alexa and Carlos. So I love that they put them together in a mystery series, because with Aurora Teagarden, we have like 100 of those. We can do 100 of those with Alexa and Carlos too, so it'll be fun.
One of the first of all, I love the two of them in real, like in IRL. Like I love following their family. I've said that before on the show, and anytime we've had the pleasure of having them on, they are just so delightful. So I want to champion them regardless, because I like the two of them. But what I love about the series, and we really got to see it in Dead Over Diamonds, is their Latino culture. And, we got introduced to, family members, and Eric Estrada is in that one as a guest star, and possibly will continue on throughout, with the next movie, which I believe they already have shot, they shot before COVID.
I know it's still on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries page. It says coming this summer.
Yeah, I think they got through filming it. Don't quote me, but I believe they did. But I really love the fact that, that's so authentic to who they both are. Obviously, their culture is very important to them, and I love that was in this movie, and I hope to see more of it. And I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like a broken record talking about theater again, but I gotta give a shout out to my the best friend,
yes,
Prasad, who she cracked me. I love her. I love the relationships in this movie, but she's always doing the over dramatic classic actory stuff in the best way. And that character Maya, she fills me with delight. So I always know that I'm really excited to see where they take her, because I know it's always going to be some funny little actor nuggets that I'm going to see myself in and laugh and say, yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
And she's an Indian American. She's an Indian, I think Canadian, maybe Indian American gal. So that makes me, I'm thrilled about that. It's a very diverse cast, which is appreciated. And I will agree with you, Rachel, that it's shot in this way that is very Pink Panther. It's very, it's neat. It has a retro feel. The colors are exciting. It's shot really well.
Yeah. All right. Next we have Jill Wagner, Mystery 101, the next leading lady. And I think the biggest strength that this series has is its cast, not just Ploa and Jill that are so good together, of course. But I love Preston. I love Matthew James Dowden. My favorite was Dead Talk. That was my favorite. It was the best. I thought even just the title made me laugh. Every time they say Dead Talk, I would laugh. And I loved Matthew James Dowden in that as her ex, and that like the then how that made Travis all jealous. And I that one I thought was really good. And so yeah, I mean they've been really fun. I don't think they've had a real miss. My least favorite, actually, not to disagree with Jax, was probably the play one, but I still enjoyed it. Kaycee, what do you think about 101?
Do you have to even ask what I think about 101? That is my favorite series. I hooked. Number one, like first movie, I was like, I am here for this. I love Jill Wagner and Chris Paha and their chemistry together. And like, she is such a boss. I'm like, I want to be just like Amy when I grow up. And like, I just love the whole series. I don't think there's one that I've not liked. I will say this one is easier for me to pinpoint who the murderer is. I think I've gotten quite a few, not all of them, but I love it. I am here for it. I hope it lasts forever.
Yeah, I hope they're able to get back filming soon. What do you think, Jax, on this?
So actually, on the case, Kaycee and Red Herring Rachel, I wholeheartedly agree with both the things you just said, and that it's my favorite series. And actually, Rachel, Playing Dead, while I liked Playing Dead, because like I said, I like the ones that are about plays, Dead Talk actually is my favorite.
It was so good.
Ones. Yeah. It's so good. Everything's surrounding the TED Talk. When Hallmark aired their marathon a couple weeks ago, my mom and I spent the 2 hours that Dead Talk was re-airing. I would say watched it live together, but we were on the phone because we'd both seen it, but then watching the movie. So Dead Talk for me is also my favorite. I love John Christian Plummer, who's one of the writers. We've had him on our show, and I think he's so smart. So there's all these literary references in there and Shakespearean references that I love. So yes, Mystery 101, Amy is so smart. I love how she talks to her students. And of course, I love the whole moonlighting vibes that she's got going on with Travis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all, Mystery 101 is too darn good. Let's just be real. It really is. The slow burn between Travis and Amy is so good. Amy's dad being a fiction, crime fiction writer, in Education and Murder, I think is probably the last one, the most recent one that aired is probably my favorite, because that's the one that I literally was like, oh my gosh, what? Like, who done it? Like, I could not believe it. And I think, the whole cast are such great actors, but Christopher Palaha, I will say, as Travis, especially in An Education and Murder, we get to see so many layers to that character of like what happened in his past, also his love life. Like, there's so many things that happen in this most recent movie that I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what we learn about his character and how that's going to affect Amy and their relationship. And it's a good series. It keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, it's a really good one. It's not my favorite. I'll tell you in a minute what my favorite.
Ooh.
But but it's really good. So we have Martha's Vineyard series to talk about next, and this one's a weird one because it doesn't have a female lead. You have Sarah Lynn, who is the supporting role more, but Jesse Metcalfe is the lead, which is kind of weird for me with Hallmark. I don't know, but they've been pretty good. I think they've been pretty well written as far as the clues and the other things. They had the one that was the heist type of film, and I liked that one that had so many red herrings. But yeah, I think that it's been pretty good. I think it fits because he's actually an ex-cop, or an ex-detective, and so you're getting to know his backstory at the same time. And so it's the most natural. You have the same thing actually with Picture Perfect, but it's not quite as much of a stretch for either of them because she does the autopsies and stuff, or she's a doctor. And so what do you think, Kaycee? Have you gotten to see any of these?
Yep, I've seen both of them. And so going into it, I was kind of like, okay, this is different. There's a dude, that's the lead.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's Jesse Metcalfe, and, he's cool. But I was pleasantly surprised that I really, really enjoyed it. I like the writing style. I like that I was kept on my toes. Sarah Lynn is such a boss. And I think I like that about her too. She's not that anybody's a damsel in distress necessarily for any of the series, but she is definitely she's I don't know, she's amazing. That's the word I could describe her. I mean, she's just super smart, and she keeps Jesse Metcalfe on his toes. Their characters are just zinging along. And I do like the fact that she does the autopsies. That's kind of a fun thing too. We don't have a third party person like we do in the others. So all these little elements, I think it's different, and I like that. I like that it's different.
What do you girls think about this one having a male lead? Are you there? Did we lose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, I agree with the both of you. That definitely jumped out at me when they first had, the promos for it and we found out about it. But what I will say, to echo sort of what Kaycee's saying too, is that I'm glad that they made Sarah Lynn's character, Z, a very strong female character. I mean, she really is integral to every case that's been solved. And because her dad is also, a detective, a former detective, a police chief or whatnot, she is a part of that world, but she also brings so much more with her medical expertise. So that to me made it okay that we don't have a leading lady in this that's our leading, our lead. And I think the other part about Martha's Vineyard Mysteries that, and call me superficial here, but it's pretty. I really like seeing the background and it being, on an island and it, with the water and the boats, and it's sort of, it's nice escapism, but it's interesting. So I really like that about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for Martha's Vineyard, two little things that I geeked out about were that Shawl and I were so excited because we had Jackie Shawl that was named after us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that was so funny.
Craig Lendon gave us a little shout out, but also something that I thought was cute at play is again this best friendship between Z and her best friend Britt, and that's Sunita again. She's making her rounds in the mystery movies, and she makes me laugh at everyone. I think I would love to see a movie where Sunita was the lead, because in every mystery movie that she's in, I'm loving the best friend role that she's playing. So I'm like, yeah, I want to see her cracking the case herself. But I do like that this world does feel, like y'all said, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, but it does feel gritty because of the fact that, as you guys referenced too, Z is doing the autopsies. Jess is a former detective cop and has got this dark backstory. So I think the grittiness of that juxtaposed with how beautiful the actual setting is really compelling for me.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, next we have my actual favorite series. It's Darrow and Darrow, with the whole cast is just fantastic. But Kimberly Williams Paisley is our lead, but you got Wendy Malick in there. You have Lila Fitzgerald, who we love on the podcast, and then Tom Cavanaugh, who I've been a huge fan of his movies. He's actually my favorite Hallmark movie ever, with Trading Christmas is one I love, and so he's great. They're great, and I like courtroom dramas more than I like mysteries. And so the fact that this is more of a courtroom drama and less mystery is a plus for me. I love the banter between the two of them. I love the family dynamics. The family fun there is always really strong. And I don't know. I think it's the best written, aside from Signed, Sealed, Delivered. I think it's the best written series that they have currently. It's very well done. Would you agree, Kaycee?
I 100% agree. There are not enough accolades for this. I feel like it always gets swept under. I don't know why. But fun fact, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a paralegal or wanted to be a lawyer, and then I was like, ooh, extra school, no thank you. So I love Darrow and Darrow for the fact that it is a courtroom drama, and I've always loved Kimberly Williams Paisley because Father of the Bride, and she's just so great, and I love her chemistry, with Claire and Miles' chemistry, and I'm so happy we finally got a kiss, and it was super swoon-worthy. So excited, and I really hope they make more. I like that I like that it's different in that it is a courtroom drama rather than a mystery. But yeah, this is definitely another series that's up there for me for sure.
Yeah, I think so we're talking about the courtroom drama aspect, which I also do enjoy, and watch a decent amount of courtroom dramas in my day. I love a good procedural, but that scene where Claire and Miles are trying to explain to the judge that they're now together, but it's not going to affect the case rolling. I think I've watched that scene.
Yeah, that was really good, and the whole thing with the grape soda, I just loved. It was so good.
You can't beat. I agree with y'all 100%. You can't beat the banter. Because you're literally, everyone on that show, but the, sort of the three main actors there, Kimberly Williams Paisley, Tom Cavanaugh, and Wendy Malick. All three of those actors are just incredible performers. They are so funny. They're on top of their game. You're watching some high level acting in sort of a world that is meant to have some hijinks, some things that they make really grounded and funny, and you're invested, but you're also really entertained. So I 100% agree with you. The banter, the way they deliver their lines, the speed in which they deliver it too, like how rat-tat-tat it is one of my favorite parts of the show. And I love the Darrow women. Talk about again, we're talking about all these female characters and the leads being female, but in this series, we're watching a whole family of women and what they're going through, each one of them, aside from what's happening in the case. So that's a winner for me.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have the Morning Show Mysteries, Holly Robinson Peete. And one of the things that I always crack up in this series is how they're able to disguise the fact that Rick Fox is 12 inches taller. Over a foot taller, which is hilarious. They find these ways that he's the poor man is slumping over the entire set because they're trying to make him look not as tall. But he is very dreamy, in my opinion. I do think that this one is the one they have to bend over the most in order to get her involved. I mean, a morning show cook, it's not a natural fit for a sleuther thing. And so it's a pretty big stretch, but I think they have a lot of fun with it. I particularly liked the one with the rubber duckies. It was so silly.
Yes.
But I enjoyed it.
Yes. I liked that one too, Rachel, for sure. I liked that one.
And I like Aunt Cassandra. I think she's a lot of fun. Karen Robinson, I think is the actress's name. She does a good job, I think, in that role. And I feel like they give her more to do than what I was saying with Barbara Niven in Crossroads, where I feel like Cassandra actually has like plot and isn't just an exposition dump character. She actually has a character arc and is growing, and you get to see her date people and just have things happen. And so I think they're using that character better in this and having fun with her character. So I've liked that. And I don't know. Have you gotten to see any of these, Kaycee?
This one, I think I've seen. I think I saw the latest one and I liked it. So I needed to catch up on it. But I do like just the angle they take, and I love the diversity as well with the characters.
Yeah, that's nice on it for sure. Okay.
Yeah, in Death by Design, I think that the twin aspect is wild. And watching Holly Robinson Peete and Rick Fox, I always like when I can tell my dad and my brother something relatable about Hallmark to them, and I'm like, guys, Rick Fox is in this movie, and they get all excited because they're like, oh, he's basketball. So and of course Holly Robinson Peete is great, but she's always great, and I would expect nothing less from her. But it's nice to have that extra level of relatability for the men in my family. So Rick Fox, thank you.
Well, and I think I mentioned this earlier with, Ruby Herring being sort of, again, that newsroom world. I like that this is a morning show type of environment. I think there's always like a fun cast of characters when you're talking about morning show TV. And I like that Al Roker, actually from the Today Show, he created this series or helped create it and executive produces it. So, that's always fun. The last one, Death by Design. No, Countdown to Murder was the last one, or Death by Design. Now I'm getting confused. Oh, no.
Wasn't the twin one the last one?
Yes, that was Death by Design, right? Yeah. Wow. That one too, I was just like, again, I like how, similar to Ruby Herring, there's some campy stuff that's happening in both of these where I don't think they take themselves so seriously. That makes it really sort of fun. But also it's really well acted, and there's still a really good mystery there. So, and Holly Robinson Peete, you can't beat her. She's just wonderful. We've obviously had her on the show. We've met her in person. She is a delight. So I love supporting her in anything that she does.
Very good. All right. We're almost done. So then we have Emma Fielding, Courtney Thorne-Smith. We had one last year. Who knows if that's all the last we'll get. But the thing I think is fun about this series is it has a little bit of an Indiana Jones sort of flair to it. There's a little bit of her sort of discovering things. That's fun. And this last one, I really enjoyed it. These pedantic, ridiculous professors I thought were hilarious and so ridiculous that I enjoyed them. It was pretty bonkers. There was always like secret hideaway lairs and tombs and stuff like that. And it was fun. And Kaycee, you got to see this one, right?
Yes, I did. Because I think we had talked about it when it aired, and I was like, what the heck did I just watch?
I think I was the only person in the world that had that movie in my top 20 of the year for Hallmark, because I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I mean, okay, so initially I was just like, first of all, the Sign Seal Deliver connection. I was like, hold up, we got Jeff Gustafson here, and he's hysterical right now because this is not Norman. This is some other, professor who's acting crazy. And then not only that, but we have the guy, I can't remember his name. I'm looking him up now. But basically Shane's ex, Stephen Merrick. Don't remember the actor's name. Apologies. But he's also there. And didn't he have like a British accent or something? And I was like, what? Something's weird here. But when I watched it a second time, I was like, okay, I can get the, ridiculous, campiness of this. I can dig this one. I think it just took me by surprise because it was so different than the others that I'd seen. Because, I'm really big on like Aurora Teagarden, Chronicle Mysteries, Ruby Harry, like all that fun, like stuff. And then this one was like way out of left field for me. So I need to go back and rewatch like the previous Emma Fielding ones. But yeah, this one threw me for a loop.
I hope they make more. If you're listening, Hallmark, make more. They're fun.
Yeah, this whole world is it's so much. I mean, I know I've said the word campy 50 billion times in this episode, but this is probably the number one campy mystery series on the network, and that's what makes it so hilarious and so much fun. And Courtney Thorne-Smith is so good, and it's neat that it's like an academic world, and we're talking about archaeology, and it's very cool, and it's fun, and I really dig it too. It makes me laugh a lot of the time as well as I'm invested. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's really interesting. I always get, of course, probably a huge part of the reason why Mystery 101 is one of my faves is because I get very invested in the academic world. That's almost what I went into. I almost got my MA PhD in theater, and that's what I was going to do. But not surprisingly to anyone who knows me, I've got some serious knowledge gaps in weird places. And I remember when I watched Sight Unseen, I was like, I don't think I know anything about Jamestown, really. Like, what do I know? So it makes me want to learn more. Mm-hmm. And I find that really intriguing about these worlds that are academic, because a lot of times references, if I get them and I understand them, that's cool. And then if I don't, I think, well, I should at least Google that and learn a bit more. So I like that, especially about Sight Unseen. I thought that one was really fun.
Yeah. All right. Last one we have is the Gourmet Detective. We have Brooke Burns as our lead in that. And I've only seen one of these, actually. I've only seen the most recent one because the previous one, I think, had just missed us when we just started the podcast in 2017. So we didn't cover it. And so I hadn't seen any of them. And I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. I didn't love the case. I thought it was a little over the top. But they had some nice banter. I think those are two quality actors with Brooke Burns and can I think of his name?
Dylan Neal.
Yeah. Brooke Burns and Dylan Neal, I think, are both good actors. And so I think they elevate it quite a bit. And their relationship was fun, but I've only seen the one. So Kaycee, you're a fan of this.
I'm a new fan. Opposite of Rachel, thanks to the new one. So I watched the newest one first. I think it was because I think I just didn't have anything else to watch on TV, and I was trying to convince my husband to watch something with me, and he's like, pick something, and I'm like, oh, we're watching a mystery. Yay.
He's like, why did I say that?
And so we watched it together, and I really appreciate the banter. I thought it was a lot of fun. Dylan Neal's hysterical. I didn't know he was that funny. And it was, the word of the night is campy. I think that's a big thing with this. Like, it's not so serious either, which I also appreciate. And it revolves around food, and you can't go wrong with that. But yeah, I really like this, the series, and I've watched it all the way back. I haven't seen the pilot because I don't know that it's aired or it didn't save to my DVR or whatever. But I think it's a lot of fun, and I really hope they make more because I really like the dialogue.
One thing that's hilarious in these is in Hallmark is I feel like Hallmark is afraid to have them do anything like too illegal, and so they, instead of having them like trafficking drug or creating meth or something like that, they have them making illegal olive oil, or that was one of the Chronicle Mysteries, like illegal olive oil, or in this one it was like birchwood or some. Anyway, it was like he's got his like illegal random garden house. I don't know, that kind of makes me laugh. I'm like, who has an illegal olive oil operation? I guess that's a thing.
Well, it's so funny when those things do pop up, and the positive of it though is it is a family friendly network, right?
Yeah,
so like if you are watching it with your 9-year-old or like a younger person, you don't necessarily want all that stuff in the mystery. You want it so that it's still intriguing, but it's also very family friendly. So I think that's why they sort of scale back from that, because it's generational viewing. But my number one thing about this mystery series is Brooke Burns. I think as Detective Maggie Price, she owns it. I love her performance in this. And I like when I get to see female detectives and female cops like really know their stuff, really be strong. It really excites me. And I think she just does a great job, especially in contrast to, Henry Ross, played by Dylan Neal. Like the contrast of their personalities is good, but she really makes it for me in this series.
Yeah.
I agree.
I like that they're already a couple. So rather than the slow burns that we have, like we've got a lot of slow burns, which I value, and that's fun. And then we've got the buddy comedy that we get in our Haley Dean. We've got a couple that's an established couple, and I think that that's also nice to see for some variety and contrast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very, very true. There we go. We did it. We talked about all the series.
Woohoo!
Yay! This was really fun.
This was awesome, Red Herring Rachel. And what it really just hearing us talk about all these sort of mystery heroines that quite frankly are kicking butt.
Yeah. It's
just like, so, I mean, we didn't talk about that, but the action sequences in all of these, especially like when any of our heroines are like, I know in Aurora Teagarden, I always love, there's always, and Kaycee, you might feel me on this too, always at the end of the movie, like Ro is kicking butt. She's always she's always in the thick of it. And that's what Jill Wagner's the same. I mean, Amy's, they all are. They're all really strong, and it's sort of action packed. And I think most of the actresses do their own work too, which is cool. Like they might have a stunt double here or there for things, but I think a lot of them do a lot of that, those action scenes, which just is really fun. Yeah. It's really fun.
Well, thank you so much, girls. This was so much fun to chat and catch up. And we hope you all had a fun time listening to us talk about these mysteries and just catching up. And it was a great time. And I think everybody knows, but for the record, where can people find your podcast and your social media, all that fun stuff?
You can find us at the Bubby Sesh. Rate, review, subscribe, do all the things. Give yourself a moniker. Give yourself a name, guys.
Yes.
Let us know who you are.
Yes. Tweet at us. Tweet at both of us. Tweet at Hallmarkies Podcast and at Hallmark Channel's Bubbly Sesh, and let us know who your mystery moniker.
Yeah.
And next time you're sleuthing, who you are, because we've got On the Case Kaycee, Red Herring Rachel, Mystery Maven Jacks, Sherlock Shawl. I mean, we all need a name to sleuth.
Yes. Yeah,
we do. To super sleuth, we need it.
All right, Kaycee, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Hallmark My Words. And I know that some people listening will be like, wait a second, you forgot one. Signed, Sealed, Delivered. We didn't, because we have our own little series, Deliver Me a Pod.
Woohoo!
The
That's
Hallmark
right.
podcast, where we talk about all things Signed, Sealed, Delivered. And that's why it's separate. So you can find that on Twitter and on Instagram now, too. So Deliver Me a Podcast and Deliver Me a Pod.
Very good.
And Kaycee, congratulations on that, by the way. That is so cool that y'all are doing that. And I know, of course, that fan base. I mean, Jacks and I both, when it came out, we were like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome that someone is devoting the time that series needs, because it's so special. So that is awesome. So congrats on that. That's very cool.
Thank you. Yeah. And Rachel has been super awesome, letting us like become little leaders under her leadership.
Great. It's great. I don't have to do anything. I just let you go and you're doing awesome.
She's shedding a tear. She's like, my little babies are growing.
Right.
Well, ladies, thank y'all so much for having us. I mean, it's always, again, Jacks and I have said this before, and I know I've said this, so excuse me if I'm a broken record, y'all, and you've heard this before, but this community of fans is just so welcoming, so heartwarming. I love that all of us can, there's so many different podcasts, and we can all get together and like enjoy and chat about all the content that we're all covering, and be friends and care about what each other's doing. And it's just a really special fandom. And I love being part of it.
We do too.
And next time we do a snake draft, we're gonna be perfect at it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I always get burned. I get burned in the snake draft. I need my chance to shine. So
well, you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. I do weekly family movie night picks, and I'd really appreciate everybody checking that out. But then also make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media on iTunes and YouTube. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews along with our girls at the Bubly Sesh. Please do, for both of us. It means so much. And then if you are listening on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that too. We have our merch store, which is super fun and has merch for a lot of these mysteries. So check it out, inspired merch. And then we also have our Patreon group, which we, again, appreciate so much. All that information will be in the description section. So thank you again to Jacks and Shawl for coming on and supporting our podcast and talking about the mysteries. And thanks to Kaycee for coming as well. Love you guys so much, and hope you're all doing well and that you're safe. And we will be in touch soon, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everybody.
bye. Cheers. Thank you.
We did it. Yay.